All right, Gil Can Run Show, episode 2. 2 weeks in a row, I'm here. I'm ready to talk about running and all sorts of other stuff. Got a lot of stuff on my mind because I haven't been running since Sunday because I'm saving my legs for the Vermont City Marathon. It's my first time running it up in Burlington. I'm really excited to go back to Vermont. It's going to be my first time back to Vermont in I don't know, 20 years. My family used to vacation up there in the summertime. My parents owned some land up in a place called East Poultney, which is in Rutland County, which was just as exciting as it sounds back then. Trust me. Um, Ever use outhouse? An actual outhouse, just a box of wood with a plank with a hole in it going into a giant hole in the ground. Disgusting. Don't ever use one if you don't have to. Um, so yeah, um, going up to Vermont, gonna have a good time. Um, I mean, I have a free hotel because I have a ton of points from when my house burned down and we were staying at a hotel. So I got a free hotel room, um, and just have to rent a car and buy food, and I'm good to go. And of course, entry fees, right? So, but yeah, I haven't run since Sunday. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's 4 days so far. I'm not going to run. I'm resting, trying to heal myself. My legs have been really tired all year. I've been doing a lot of running, a lot more than I've ever done, and I've only been doing this for 4 years. And so I'm really beat. I'm like, take the week off. I have enough miles. Take the week off. See if I perform better. I want to hit 4 hours. That is my goal at some point in my life to do a 4 hour marathon. I'm not the fastest guy in the world. I don't know. I could probably go faster if I really trained hard. Did a lot of speed workouts. I know a lot of speed workouts thanks to rugby and everything. Um, that's what you train for in rugby is speed, obviously speed and power. And so that's what I know, stoplights and 22-meter sprints and things like that. But I don't do any of that stuff. I just go out, I put in miles, I build up my endurance, I build up my lungs. I sing a lot to build up my lungs. So in races and stuff, you'll see me running by you and I will be belting out some song you probably aren't going to know because hardcore is my life. We'll get into that later. Hardcore punk rock and folk music. I mean, I like a little bit of everything except for country, really. Oh, I just lost like a billion people not wanting to watch me now because I don't listen to country, but I'm not going to trash it. I understand some people like that stuff. It's not me. Anyway, it's not my scene, but we will get into the music later. But yeah, so I just go out and I run and I build up my endurance, and it's all about my lungs for me because I'm an asthmatic, because I'm allergic to everything, because this whole thing started with me not being able to breathe one day and almost dying. So there's nothing scarier than not being able to breathe for me. And when I can't breathe, I will freak out. And bad things can happen because it is really a legitimate, massive fear for me. So, that being said, that's what I work on. That's what I want. I want my lungs to be like whale lungs. I want to be able to hold my breath for hours underwater and, whatever. I don't want to have to worry about breathing. So, that being said, if I'm running past you in a race or you're running past me is more likely, and I'm singing something, enjoy it. I hope you do. It also helps me deal with my anxiety of being in large crowds because I don't like the large crowds really. And that's another thing that running has done for me because you run in these races and you're inevitably in a large crowd at some point. And you have to deal with that, and you have to deal with people, and you have to be nice, and you have to be cordial, and you have to communicate with them in some meaningful way at some point. And it certainly helps to force yourself to do that when you are a little bit socially awkward and not very good at being comfortable in situations like that. So, certainly helped in many ways. Odd thing about that, you put me up on a stage in front of like 5,000 people, which has happened to me before. Remember, a big important radio guy. I'm good with it. Yeah, I'm up on a stage and I'm BSing on a mic, yeah, not a problem. You just put me in a crowd where I'm just some dude with everyone else, and I'm like, oh my god. So running definitely helps, and it's getting better. So that all being said, I am getting ready. I'm not doing anything really different. The only thing I'm looking for is a place to eat on Saturday night, really. Beyond that, I'm good. I haven't decided what I want. Usually, I'm pretty bad about what I want to eat. I'm not very good at making decisions like that. I know I need to carb up. I know I need my glycerin stores. I don't like eating Italian food outside of my house. Italian, I cook for myself, or grandma or mom cooks for me, and it's awesome. And then I go to a restaurant, and it's not awesome. It's one of those things where it's very hard for me to enjoy. So I look for other things like Thai food or Vietnamese or Indian or Chinese or sushi. Lebanese, do a lot of Mediterranean stuff. Something different, because everybody does pasta. And it's like, pasta? Really? All the time? You get sick of it. Because I eat a lot of pasta. It's just, we eat a lot of pasta. We make our own pasta. How much can you really have? So I find different ways to carb up before races. Some of them work, some of them don't. It's all trial and error for me. I learned long ago, if I don't do things my way, I tend not to do things. So, that being said, I work on, figuring out things on my own. The whole weight loss thing, I didn't do any plans, diets, no couch to 5K, none of that. I just trial and error. Figured out what worked, figured out what didn't work, and went with it. I got the hiccups now. That's great. Hopefully they don't stay with me through the whole show. So, you get there. You do what you can, you figure it out. I gotta run at my own pace. I can't run really well with groups, because either I'm going too fast or I'm going too slow, and I get really uncomfortable. And you need to be able to run a little bit uncomfortable when you're doing long distances. I know anyone who already does long distances that's watching this already knows that. Sometimes you just have to be uncomfortable. But when I'm just training, when I'm just out there running, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I want to be comfortable. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. When I'm in a race, I may not necessarily enjoy it, but it's the end product of my work, so I do what I can. So I don't mind being uncomfortable in a race. I like being comfortable on training runs. Running with groups, not comfortable for me, not physically comfortable for me. Even if my best friends in the world, I run with them, I am uncomfortable. It's just the way that it is. And there are people that I will run with in this world. I don't mind being uncomfortable physically running with them. I love those people. I love everybody. Let's get that right out there. If I'm your friend, I love you. If you're my friend, I definitely love you. It's just, that's the way that I'm that type of person, where it's just, a lot of my friends from back when, we call it framly. We're not really friends, we're not really family, we're framly. That's just the way that it is, okay? It's a little bit foreign to a lot of people, but it also ties into the whole hardcore thing with me, because that's a family too, but not really. And actually, this past weekend, that was an awesome time at the Black and Blue Bowl, put on by Madball in New York City at Webster Hall. And back in the day, right, hardcore was bunch bands, music and a message, and in your face about everything. I mean, we outpunked the punks, right? And it was great. It was magical. And there was a call to action. And there was this year with this. It was nice. there were several bands who had something to say, and they said it. And Earth Crisis played, and let me tell you something. Earth Crisis, that Destroy the Machines, their album, life changer. Okay, it's taken a long time for me to come around to start becoming a vegetarian, and I'll never be a vegan. I just, there's certain things that I enjoy too much, but I mitigate the best I can. But that was one of the biggest call to action albums ever made. Every song has such a serious message, such a serious tone about how we treat our planet, how we treat our fellow animals, how we treat our fellow human beings. It's one of those things, when you hear it, when you actually understand what's being said, you can't totally ignore it. I ignored it for a long time, to a point. But anyway, point being, call to action. But a lot of these bands that were playing this year, not really. It was like, all right, circle pit time, all right, get closer, and they really didn't have anything to say, and it kind of bummed me out. But the bands that did have something to say, or the bands that just came out and just kicked ass, were fantastic. Agents of Man, The Regulators, John Joseph and Bad Brains. I mean, how can you go wrong there? Madball, Sick of It All, Turnstile, Wisdom in Chains, Everybody Gets Hurt. I'm going to forget people because there's just so many bands. It was really, it was a great time. Burn finished it off. Oh, Burn playing for the first time in, I don't even remember how long. Phenomenal. Crumbsuckers, their Long Island band. I mean, just all these great bands. And I had a great time. There's this guy, Scott Ebanks. He's been in jail for ages. A lot of these guys back in the day, were runaways, were homeless, and stuff went down, right? And one day he started a fight, a whole bunch of people, someone ended up getting stabbed, got killed, right? He got 22 to life, and he has served 26 years. And this is actually where Black and Blue Bowl comes from, because even though he's a model prisoner and he is displaying no danger to anybody at all, they're not paroling him because the way the parole board works doesn't exactly make sense. You can read all about it, freescottebanks.com. And that's what the thing's actually about, but only one band actually mentioned that. That's my point, okay? This guy, Scott Ebanks, has been in jail for a long time. He didn't even actually kill anyone. They were never able to prove that. But he started the fight. Somebody died. He got stuck. So, they have this thing. They have a petition. They have cards to sign. And, that's what you're doing there. That's the whole point of this thing. There is a call to action. And only one band mentioned it. And it's the band that put it together. Kind of a bummer. And so, at the same time, it was cool, but, kind of sad that a lot of things seem to get ignored. I don't know. It seemed to be more about the bands than the music, than the message, than the scene, than the family, right? So, but I did have a good time. Got to hang out with my friend. Got to hang out with some cool people. Got to see some good bands and do our thing. That being said, so we did that. And the only thing I've been able to think about all week besides that is not running. And all the pent up, angst that causes, the anxiety, the energy, because you want to go out and run. It's really hard not to. Running is definitely a drug. That's okay. It's a good drug. Even if you occasionally get hit by a car, if that's happened to me twice, we're going to talk about that too. The thing that has been on my mind, though, about the running and tying into the call to action thing, and this is my call to action for this week for you guys, and that is litter. Right? You all notice when you're driving around in your car, most of your streets look pretty clean. And then you get out there and you're running down the road, and all you see is all the litter. And not just like cigarette butts, which there's a ton of, and like candy wrappers and stuff, but big stuff like chip bags and cups and all sorts of stuff. I've seen everything on the side of the road. There's more to this as well. We're going to get into all sorts of stuff here about driving and what people are doing while they're driving and how it's affecting everything. Because it's gross. I mean, you see it. You run down the road, you see it. It is disgusting. All the litter is disgusting. And I don't understand, because I don't litter out my window. I don't throw stuff out the window of my car. If I happen to be eating something while driving, or if I stopped to get something and was sitting in a parking space, because usually I'm not eating or drinking while I'm driving. You know why? Because I'm paying attention to what I'm doing. It's kind of a European thing. I used to be really bad because I used to be on the road all the time and always in a rush, and everything was so important because I was so important. So I'm drinking a soda and I'm eating a burger and I'm driving stick and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm not paying attention to what the hell I'm doing. I'm not paying attention to driving. I'm paying attention to shoving food in my mouth and drinking and, oh my God, I gotta get to the next meeting. And it's crazy, right? So anyway, I don't understand how people can do whatever they're doing in their car and just throw it out the window and not just leave it there until they get to where they're going. Because everywhere that they're going, whether they're going to their house, whether they're going to their office, whether they're going to a gas station, whether they're going to a store, no matter where you go in this world in your car, when you get there, there's trash and recycling. I guarantee it. Unless you're literally going nowhere, at which point there still may be trash and recycling, because there's just that many bins around. Because I notice those too when I'm running around. So wherever you're going, there is trash. Wait and take your garbage and put it in the proper receptacle. And if you have recycling, put it in the recycling receptacle. Okay? I don't want to hear anything, oh, that's just for show. I don't care if it's for show or not. Put everything in the proper receptacle. It's very simple. There's no reason to throw anything out the window of your car, even food, even biodegradable food. No reason to throw it out your window. You wait till you get there, you dispose of it properly. Simple, right? And then the roads aren't disgusting all the time. Because we all got to live here. And we've got to walk down the road, your kid's biking on the road, or whatever. And you look down and you see all this crap. And it's like, really? But more to it than that. So you're eating, you're drinking, you're not paying attention to what you're doing. And sometimes people get hit. There's a reason I have the Superman shield tattooed on my leg, which you may notice if you're catching this on iTunes. That's the picture, is my leg with the Superman shield. You know why I have that there? Because I was running and somebody wasn't paying attention at an intersection. I couldn't see into the car. I didn't know that they hadn't seen me. I assumed that they had seen me. Bad assumption on my part, but I'm a flesh bag. I have the right of way simply because I'm up against things that can easily crush me and destroy me, because you're driving around in a ton and a half, 2 tons of metal and plastic and crap. And I am right now, currently, which we'll get into as well, 185 pounds of meat and bones. And that is it. And some hair. And some snark. But for the most part, I have the right of way. Okay, so I assumed that this person saw me. They did not. I'm in the middle of the intersection. They started going. Next thing you know, I'm on the roof of a car, right? I rolled off the car. The lady was massively shocked that she had a human being on her car. And I just kept running, and I ran 3.5 more miles. I got really angry, and I just took off. Anyway, I was fine. I got hit by a car, and I was fine. She wasn't going very fast, and I am kind of tough. Let's face it. So, we get, I get done, and it starts dawning on me, she wasn't paying attention the way she should. And for years, I didn't pay attention the way that I should. And I got lucky, and one day, one night actually, it was very late at night, and I ended up hitting an animal. It was a wild animal. Really, it ran out. There was no lights or anything, and it ran out. I was going too fast, and I struck it. And I was really upset. It's a wild animal. I have no real emotional attachment. It's not my pet. It's not somebody's pet. It was a raccoon or something. And I just felt terrible. Honestly, I cried a little bit. And I realized that when I'm in an area and I know that animals might be crossing, I need to slow down. I need to pay attention. I need to not be in a rush. And that's what I do. And that's what I'm saying, is don't be in a rush. You're going to get there when you get there. It doesn't matter where you're going. It doesn't matter how important it is. It matters that everybody's safe. And that includes woodland creatures and dogs and cats and everything else. When you're driving, you're in control of a machine that is very easily capable of killing you and anyone else it contacts, whether they're in another vehicle or not. And, you got to take your time with it. It's not that big a deal. If you're late, you're late. If someone doesn't understand that, that's their problem, not yours. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, but I need to make money, and I need a job, and I need to do this, and I need to buy that, and this, that, the other thing. We need to stop. Everybody needs to just say, what are we doing? Because people are getting killed, and animals are getting killed, and damage to things, and there's all sorts of horrible accidents. I saw one on Route 15 the other day. Some guy lost control of his car. Guy or lady, I don't know. They weren't there by the time I got there. The car was getting put onto a flatbed because it hit a sign on the left-hand side of the highway, went across the 2 lanes of traffic, and slammed right into what must be a 50-year-old oak tree that they're probably going to end up having to take down because it got very severely damaged by this car. No thing that you are going to do is worth your life or somebody else's. End of. And that goes right along with the littering and everything, because we're rushing, we're multitasking, we're doing this, that, and the other thing all at once. We're yelling at our kids. I don't have kids, but I remember getting yelled at a lot as a kid. So, you're yelling at your kids, you're talking on your phone, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're eating, you're drinking, you're shifting, you're fiddling with the radio, you're texting. I know, texting, it's the worst thing in the world. And it's just as bad as everything else. But there's a million things. Today, I just kind of started daydreaming for a second. And the guy in front of me hit his brakes. I almost went into him. That's my fault, too. I slammed on my brakes. I avoided the accident. I'm pretty good at avoiding accidents for the most part. And, everything was fine. But the point is, we're not paying attention to what we're doing. And we're littering, and worse, we're killing things, and we're making a mess, and it's not good. So my whole thing is that everyone's kind of got to chill out while driving, particularly. But everyone's just got to chill out in general. But while driving, and stop littering. Stop making a mess of things. Because then you get people like me, and I go out and I try and pick it up. And I pick up, maybe a garbage bag full a year. But there's more to it than that. During races, okay, not just while driving. Last year I did the Marin County Half Marathon through the Marin County Park out there in California on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco. And it's mostly a trail run. It's the only trail run I've ever done. It was gorgeous. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Everything. I mean, there's wild turkey, wild deer. There's, all sorts of flora and fauna. There's the marshlands. There's the hills. It's gorgeous. And you're running down the road, and you're running down the trail, and there's a goo packet. And there's 5 goo packets. And then there's gummies, and there's wrappers for the gummies, and there's, drink cups, and this and that and the other thing. And I know what you're all thinking, particularly you really fast people. Oh, well, there are volunteers and they're going to clean it up. For the most part, yes. You are correct. However, what you find is that the wind does this amazing thing of picking things up and blowing them off. And I was running with a friend, and we were going at a pretty easy pace. Even for me, a pretty easy pace. So I was dropping off and picking things up and making a nice pile, putting like a rock on it, and then telling a volunteer, there's a pile of stuff back there. Please, make sure you police that up. Because I couldn't carry it all with me because there was too much. But some of it had gotten blown into the marshlands. So here's this plastic thing. It's never going to biodegrade, and it's stuck out there. I couldn't go get it because it drops off like 5 feet. There was no way I was going to get back up. It killed me to leave it there because it was so beautiful. It was so nice. It was so amazing. I felt terrible that I saw all this garbage that we were leaving as racers, and we're supposed to be responsible, healthy, crunchy people, right? And we make a mess. We really make a mess of every race course I've ever been on. Most of it is localized around where the volunteers are, but some of it is not. And in this particular race, it was really irritating because of we're not in the middle of a city, right? Where the street sweeper is going to pick it up and whatever. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of Philadelphia or New York or Boston or Chicago or LA, or you're out in, Butte, Montana or whatever. You're running through the Rocky Mountains. I don't care. There's no reason for it. Eat your goo packet or whatever, and put it in your pocket. You don't have a pocket, put it back where you got it from. You had to get it from somewhere, right? If you cornholed it, cornhole the trash too. It's that simple. I don't litter on the course. I even, if I have to stop to throw out my cup properly, and I'll even have volunteers tell me, oh, don't worry about it. No. Screw that mess. I'm throwing my cup in the trash. Unless I'm really sick or really hurt or really not doing well, and then I'll just get as close as possible. If I know I can't stop, if I stop, I'll collapse, which has actually happened to me before. But just police your garbage. Leave only footprints. It's simple. And it's a disposable society. We don't think in terms of sustainability, which I hate that term, okay? I don't like it, but we think about use it, get rid of it, use it, get rid of it, use it, get rid of it. And it shows. And it makes for a disgusting race course, and I don't like it. It makes for disgusting roads while I'm running my training runs, and I don't like it. I didn't like it as a kid. I used to get really upset. Remember that? Some of you probably won't remember that commercial of the Indian crying because of the litter. Native American, sorry. I'm not Native American, but, it's upsetting. It really is upsetting. to see all this garbage and everything. And there's no reason. There's no reason to see a disposed coffee cup, and not like a Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup, like a mug, a travel mug on the side of the road. What are you doing? Did it break? Just keep it in your car till you get where you're going and get rid of it properly. What's the rush? Why do you have to get rid of it? Are you afraid your wife's going to see that you were drinking coffee or something? I don't get it. I really don't. It kills me. It kills me to see this stuff. And that's my call to action. Try not to litter. Do your best. Take your time. Relax. Because, this is it. This is what we got. So we need to take care of it. Like I was saying last week. So when you're running, no matter where you're running, no matter what distance or anything, try not to make a mess. When you're driving in your car, try not to make a mess. And pay attention to what you're doing. Because, it's dangerous out there. So that's that stuff. I suppose I should talk a little bit more about actual running this week. I use New Balance sneakers, the 940 V2s. I have very flat feet and they work very well for me, and I have to get super feet inserts that I use. I do not take any advertising at this time. If I'm talking about something, if I mention something, it's because this is what I use. This is what works for me. That's pretty much the only gear that I use, actually, is my sneakers. I will use compression shorts. I actually use baseball sliding shorts. Because that's what I'm comfortable in, because I played baseball for so many years. So when I need compression, that's what I use, and I have compression socks for marathons. I also use them on planes because I don't swell up if I use compression socks on planes, and my legs will swell up if I don't use compression socks on planes. Go figure. When I'm, if I'm on for like more than 5 hours, it gets painful. So when I go overseas, compression socks. I, don't use a lot of gear beyond that. I have a Walkman. I do listen to music. As I said, I sing along to it. I do not care if people say, oh, you shouldn't listen to music. You know why? Because I'm not listening to it loud enough that I don't hear things. Except for at the start of a race, when they're jabbering on about whatever they're jabbering on about. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, race people. I'm really sorry. I know some of you are watching this. I mean, most of it's just advertising, and I don't have time for that. There is some important information, but I'm always going to be following someone. So whatever it is, I'm blasting the music. Then I turn it down, because if someone has instructions, if there's an emergency, I need to hear sirens and things like that. I actually, running down the street on Sunday, I'm coming to an intersection. I got my headphones in. I'm singing along. I'm cruising. And there are people on the other side of the intersection. And I hear the siren. And I see the guy on the other side of the intersection start waving at me, trying to tell me to stop because there's a siren coming. Well, I heard the siren, so I slowed down. I saw the fire truck coming. I made sure that the fire truck was passing that intersection. I went across the intersection. I said, as I was passing the man, thank you very much. I can hear. I do keep my music low enough that I can hear. I mentioned that to him. I try and smile and wave at everybody that I pass on the street. I just try and smile and wave. You don't know who needs a smile, who needs a wave that day. So maybe I'm the only person smiling and waving at that person. Most of the time, folks try and not see me. They get uncomfortable. Like, there's this guy running by me, covered in sweat, and he's smiling and waving at me. What is his deal? I'm just being friendly. I'm just being neighborly. I'm being a good person, and I want you to have a good day. I want everyone to have a good day all the time, right? So I explained to him, I can hear, I'm good, thank you very much. It was very nice of him to do that. he didn't know that I could hear. He assumed, because you can see, wires and everything coming out of me. I look like a cyborg, RoboCop. And so, but yeah, so I turn down the music so I can pay attention. And whatever's in my surroundings, I know what's going on. It's cool. I hear people yelling and screaming in races and, all the things that they're saying when they're holding up signs. And I try and give high fives. Actually, my buddy Lance, during the New Jersey Marathon, gave me, what was it, 20 high fives, was it, Lance? And I got well more than 25 high fives. I was cruising down the road, and I was just slapping every hand I could. It was great. I personally really enjoy the girls who have the "Give Me Sweaty Hug" signs. I always stop for those. I like hugs. And as Finn says, hugging helps. So, but, plus, pretty girls, whatever. So, just, I'm trying to be friendly. I know I'm not going to win any of these things, so I'm just trying to enjoy it. What else is there to do, right? You got to have fun. And even the training, you got to have fun, because you're running down the city streets and there are all these people there, and for all I know, someone's having a miserable day, and like, no one's ever nice to me or whatever, and here I am, hey, how's it going, what's going on? And maybe I brighten up their day, every now and then. My favorite thing is when I get a smile or a wave back, or a smile and a wave back, and every now and then I get a hey. So it's cool, it's just something to do to try and make the world a little bit better place, right? So anyway, I don't use a lot of gear. I have a Garmin watch. I hate the interface on the Garmin, the little clip thing on the 110. I guess they did away with that. I don't know. So it's not like I have like a lot that I can, give you as far as equipment advice and everything. KT tape does work. I've had to use it several times on my knee, on my shins, and it really does make a huge difference. The thing is, if you're going to use it on your legs, and you are like me, and you have hairy legs, although you can't really see now, although I suppose this is HD, so you can probably see a little bit of stubble, you gotta shave. Found that one out the hard way, because it's like pulling off a giant Band-Aid, and it is painful. So, I'm not ashamed. I have shaved legs. Yep. Well, not right now, but I will for this weekend, because in Vermont I'm probably going to wrap up my knee before I go out, just to be on the safe side, because it's been a little iffy, although it feels good right now. So who knows, but we'll see. I'd rather be prepared and not need it than not be prepared and need it, right? That is generally the way to go. So that's what we're up to. And as you notice, I'm wearing last year's Brantford Road Race shirt. Brantford Road Race, my very first race, a 5-miler in Brantford, Connecticut. I chose that race when I decided that I needed to do races to keep myself training, keep myself losing weight. My uncle used to own the house at the mile 1 marker. It's a very nice white Colonial sitting right there. And he would run the water station that was right there. It was very cool. We'd be out there. As a kid, I'd be handing people water, and it was fun. And then, I never got into running, but I used to enjoy doing that. And then hanging out at the pool and eating all the hot dogs and hamburgers and clams and stuff that I can't eat now because I'm allergic to shellfish, it turns out. I wasn't then. Then one day it turned out that I was, and I found out the hard way, and that's never fun. But so that's what we did. And that was my first experience with road racing when I was a kid. And so when I started racing a few years ago, it was my first race, was Brantford Road Race. And it will continue as long as, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it this year. I'm going to try. But that'll always be my first race. And it will always be a lot of fun. Last year I did it in under 40 minutes, which was a very proud accomplishment for me to do 5 miles in under 40 minutes because I'm not that fast. So it was very cool. And so is Brantford Road Race. If you're in Connecticut, Father's Day, and you don't have anything to do, and you want a race to run, I would definitely suggest running the Brantford Road Race. It's a big, fun time, and it's a very cool little course. A little bit hilly, but not too bad. And you get to run by the water and run through the town of Brantford, which Brantford is very nice and very New Englandy. It's the only way to put it. It is New England. Hamden, not so New Englandy. Well, the part where I live, not so New Englandy. The north end of town, very New Englandy. So, you know, it's something that's a little different. And so I would definitely suggest that one. But I'm going to be doing Hamden Hills next weekend, which we'll talk about more next week. I'm going to be doing the Walkway Marathon in Poughkeepsie, New York in June. And then I got to figure out the rest of it. But we're getting there. So this is episode 2. I hope you enjoyed. I hope we had fun. I certainly did. It's almost like Fun with Flags, only I'm talking about running. It was a Big Bang Theory reference. I am a nerd, but I'm not a nerd like them. They're actually geeks, and not really, well, they're nerds too, but they're geeks more. I'm not a geek. I don't geek out on things. I don't get so into things that I focus on it so much that I know every little last detail about it. I know enough to get by on the things that I'm interested in. I just learn it really quickly, and I am a nerd about it because I learn it very quickly, and usually by unconventional means is how I learn. So, I am a nerd, I am not a geek, and that is the way that it is, and that's okay. So, I'm going to try and keep these around 43 minutes-ish, because that is the length of an hour-long TV show. Once again, nerd, right? So if I ever were to interject commercials, I don't know. It's just I'm comfortable with that time. Either 22 minutes or 43 minutes. I meant to do 22 minutes last week. I ended up doing 43. So I'm just going to keep it at this. Because apparently I can just keep talking. And most of this is extemporaneous, honestly. I have a few subjects I want to touch on. I know about things that I want to talk about. And I just riff from there. Pretty cool, huh? That's kind of crazy. But if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching and listening or listening. And I promise within the next couple weeks I will get audio and music and it'll be cool and I'll pick out a theme song or whatever and do something to interject some more visual aids, some more excitement into the whole process. So anyway, thank you for watching the Gil Can Run Show. Episode 2. 2. Oh, I shouldn't do that in case English people are watching. So 2. Yeah, you don't want to do it that way. That's bad. And we will be back next week after the Vermont City Marathon, where I'm going to tell you all about Burlington, and I don't know what else is going to end up coming up. But stuff will come up. It'll be fun. Maybe I'll have another poop story. Who knows? And we will see what happens on the other side. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a great week. And we'll see you again soon.